And from the start, we're going to go 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this game is really hard. Everyone knows that by now. Go ahead and take the Z for health. I've had some bad health runs recently. Go down to our first page. First page is guaranteed, as is the second page, which a lot of players actually don't know that. Not used to seeing blue so early. So we'll go ahead and start with blue. So for Bartman, a couple things to acknowledge. One, lag in this stage is awful. Like, it's really, really awful, especially when there's essentially anything on screen. The little red airplanes are probably the worst offenders, which is why I lined up and tried to take all those guys out at once. Take out these balloons. We got some more of these guys up here, too, and I'm going to try and despawn them. Let Nelson do his thing on his little gear there. On to our first boss. Here we have the twins. Couple things about this stage. This stage is known pretty well as one of the easier stages casually. It's one of my least favorite in the speedrun just because it's so long. It's the longest stage in the game by a really, really good amount. It's like a 4 to 5 minute stage. It's kind of gross. A lot of which is just auto-scrolling. There are a couple strats I'm going to go over that I discovered after I started running this game. I can't quite show them yet, but after this next boss, I'll be able to talk about them. Our boss fights are pretty standard. Play them like a shmup boss. The twins got taken out pretty quickly. In Barney's case, he has really good attacks, but he also has really low health. Essentially just a glass cannon, so we can just bombard him with little pellets. Alright, and here's one of my favorite strats to talk about with this game. If you stay on the very bottom, where these missiles are flying up, these missiles won't hit you. They're on a timed... I'm trying to think of what time. They're on timed segments where when you spawn in a certain area of the stage, that's when they start activating. If you're not there, they're not going to hit you. So if you start on the bottom, they can't touch you. Our next two boss fights here, we have Smithers. Very unfortunate I got hit there. Smithers rockets here do a ton of damage. They take off half your health if they touch you. Ideally, you want to be able to spawn all of them as quickly as possible and then just get them off the screen. Couple more balloons there, just get them out of the way. We're pretty low on health, and I'm definitely expecting a death, which won't be a big deal if it happens. This section's really scary. The navigable path I always go with is through here. Stop when I hear missiles coming. Rear back. Move up here. I'm gonna chill out right there. It's better to do that than to go forward. If a rocket hits you and you get vortexed into a green cloud, you're just dead. Like, they actually will just kill you because they drain your health. There's no iframes to that. Like, you're actually invincible most of the time when you get hit by a rocket, but if you're stuck in a green cloud, it doesn't even register iframes, you're just dead. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. Smithers' case, we're going to go ahead and try and get rid of these missiles as quickly as we can. Here's where he's going to be a jerk. Yeah, I figured I was getting hit. What he does a lot of the time is he'll get in front of his own missiles. That way you can't hit the missiles when you're hitting him. But you don't have to kill him to advance. You just need to make sure all those missiles are gone. But if he gets in front of one of them and he takes the hits, he has a lot more health than a rocket does. For our last section, we've got just more rockets. Just chill out at the bottom and you're fine. On to our final boss, Mr. Burns in a Red Baron style plane. This fight's more annoying than it is hard. My strat is always just start firing away. Once you see the screen start lagging, that means he's coming. And you just move down and make sure he gets hit about as much as possible. Each of his shots does 19%, so it takes more than 5 shots for him to kill you. But you don't want to tank too many hits. Just fire away and hope for the best. As long as you're moving down, you're pretty safe. You can still be hit, but in most cases, you're going to be safe. Got a pretty good volley of hits there. I'm thinking 2 more cycles, probably. It's gonna be 2 more now, so it was 3 more. Very unfortunate luck there. Definitely not my best Burns fight, but at least he's dead. So we got our first page. And for those that don't know, the goal of this game is to obtain 8 different pages one from each level you visit. 3 of those levels have 2 each, so it's only 5 levels per se. While we're in the overworld, we're going to be looking pretty hard for a soda can. That would be the ideal item to get, but our page is immediate spawn this way. Jump on there, please. I'm going to go ahead and get the purple one out of the way. This is by far the scariest stage in the speedrun, and it's the one I always hope to start with. Didn't get to this time, but we'll see what happens. The biggest issue with this stage is if everything is one-hit deaths when it comes to the grenades, and enemy spawns are random. With the grenade guys, the best tip I can provide is try to come at them from below, because they can't throw grenades downward, they can only throw them up. But sometimes they do that nonsense, that juke stuff where they move down to try to catch you. It's not good. It's really, really not good. And so here we got Joe. Joe's our friend. He's going to allow us to get our homework page. Missed him the first time. I was trying to dodge hits, so I don't regret that one bit. Okay, I'm going to try to avoid this here. To the left. Alright, things are getting a little hairy here. I may have to skip a cycle on Joe. Want this? Okay. Yeah, I don't mind skipping that cycle. The guys with the spiked helmets, their job is to ensure that I'm not hurting the guys with the grenades. They can't actually kill me. They're just there to annoy me. This is unfortunate. Alright, yeah, this part's going to be really, really terrifying, so bear with me. More important here that I stay alive. The whole thing there is if you kill a red one, it wipes the screen. Okay, we got through that. I've nearly lost marathon runs to that stage, so I always try to stay alert there. So I apologize for the lack of commentary, but I wanted to make sure I could actually finish it. Is that a page I saw there? No, it was Lisa. Okay. So from here, in order to make sure the pages spawn, the tactics I like to resort to are what I call page manipulation, where we try to actually force pages to spawn on the screen. Unfortunate part is we don't have any soda yet, so I don't have my last crux. Otherwise, I'd just be going for the Lisa strat, which I'll discuss once I'm ready to go to it. Mailboxes are not being kind. We'll keep going this way just because, you know, never know the page might actually just show up. Alright, so I think I'm going to be done looking for that. Alright, we're going to go with Lisa. So here's our first page manip strat. We're going to have Lisa turn us into a frog, and now we have to continue looking around a little bit more, hoping to find a saxophone. Allow us to force a page to show up. We can still keep looking for a soda can in the meantime. No, we don't want that. Oh, hey, neat. We got one. It's a rare item drop, so it's good to always get one. Alright, there's a saxophone. So what we're going to do is we're going to move down here, hit the saxophone. That forces the page to spawn. Then we get to move on and continue playing the game. So this is Itchy and Scratchy. Growing up, this was definitely my favorite stage in the game. Anyone knows me knows how much I love beat-em-ups, and this is basically a beat-em-up level. Has similar arcade-style movement. The only major difference is you can't actually attack enemies if you don't have a weapon. You know, you play games like Final Fight where you can obtain pipes and knives that you can attack people. You can still attack with your fists. Here, if you don't have a weapon, you can't go into combat. So we start with the hammer. It's the worst weapon by far, but it's all we have. Fire extinguisher is a slight upgrade. Cool trick you can do with it, you can fire the fire extinguisher and turn in the other direction, and it causes the hitbox to spawn on the other side instead. Neat little glitch they left in the game. Maybe by mistake, I'm not sure. We got 4 segments for Itchy and Scratchy stage. Each one has a small assortment of bosses that we had to deal with. In that case, there were 5 of them there. Moving on up to the attic. That was unfortunate. That first part of this third segment is the scariest segment in this level because those vacuum guys can just go around you and it's really awful. Because all you have to do is touch you and you're just dead. You have 8 vacuums per section. Then we're going to get a small wave of bosses. Now for the kitchen, I don't recall if it was myself or Peebs, another SNES runner that discovered this, but if you wait back here behind the phone, they'll just come to you. It's actually pretty awesome. fact, I don't think the oven from here should be firing at us at all anymore. So we just wait for them to spawn and just do it. You can also wait right here on the bottom pixel and just camp. Pretty awesome. The camping strat, where you're just sitting here on the very bottom of the screen, that I believe was discovered by a runner from France. I can unfortunately not remember his name. But I discovered that like 2 years ago, and I said, I'm going to use that because it's completely safe. And it doesn't cost you any time. Alright, down goes Scratchy. One more Itchy, and I think that should do it. There we go. And we're going to get hit by the phone just for fun. Now Bart's really mad. Boo-doo-doo. That's our third page. And now that we have the soda can, we have a few more options to try to manipulate pages to show up. First thing I'm going to do is look for an old lady. Hope the game's kind to me. I don't want the TV yet. Oh, hey. I'll just take the page anyway. That's cute. For our first two-page stage, back-to-back, we're going to go with BartZilla. Now, a lot of people will probably remember this from having to constantly move forward as an auto-scroller, but as it turns out, you can actually just hold left, and you just don't move. It's actually the fastest strat, believe it or not. So the meme I love applying to this is the fact that you go fast by stopping. The reason you go slower by moving is because then it like causes Bart to move forward, and he like kicks down buildings, and that drains time. And in this case, you're in a much better position to be able to control the enemy flow. Just always have to make sure you know what button targets what area. Definitely didn't mean to do those ups that I had been doing there. Those guys out. Only thing I really dislike about this stage is the fact that there's a lack of music. I definitely pressed forward there. I don't know what happened there. To shoot a fireball straight, you have to tap right. It's been dropping a couple of those inputs, and that's kind of annoying. Take out these guys. First they get out their hit. Apologies for Bart's loud scream. That makes Baby Mario and Yoshi's Island sound lame by comparison. That being said, I've never finished the stage without getting hit. The stage is just going to hit you at some point. Really don't have much control over it. Take the train for points. You only hit the train for points. There's no other reason to. Alright, now we have the shrink ray. We're going to walk forward to that. And here we have the most random part of the entire run. This is the climb. This stage is not great. You're basically at the mercy of the building. If a window opens up, somebody's going to drop an item on you. If a window spawns off screen somewhere and you can't hear it, it could be above you, and you're going to have no way of knowing that. Like what just happened right there. That's a perfect example. I didn't know that was going to happen until it was too late, because this stage is entirely based on momentum. We also have Mom to deal with, and she's awful. She does a lot of this back and forth movement that moves really slow, and then sometimes things like that happen. Let's see if we can get up the rest of the way. This is pretty bad. Like, they must know my friends are watching. There's really not much else to say, though. You really don't have any ways to combat this. You just have to move around it. The only option you have for getting out of the way of it is to move to the right side of the building or the left side and hang on to the sides of the building, but that can actually get you killed. I didn't know that was going to happen. Now we're back at Momtho's mercy again, which is awesome. This stage is so bad. It's so bad. It's all dice rolls, ladies and gentlemen. You also can't move down. The only way you move down is if you get knocked down. So, like, if she's approaching you and you want to try to, like, move down to get away from her, that's not a thing you're allowed to do. Ugh, this is one of the worst climbs I've had in a while. Good news is once we get up to this two-window section, Momtho is no longer an issue. Like, she just is not a factor at all anymore. So now we're just at the mercy of these windows. On our way up to the boss, which is going to be old King Holmesy. That was pretty bad. Didn't like that at all. At least he's easy. We're going to let him touch us, we're going to electrocute him, and that's going to finish it off. I don't know when Homer ever wore a brown shirt, but I didn't design this game, so there he goes, plunging to his doom. Down to our last three. We're going to do the mythical TV spawn here, I hope. If I see an old lady, I'll go for that instead, but the TV is the much easier one to spawn. We're going to shoot a watermelon seed. Literally the only use for the watermelon seed in the entire game, but it's a free page spawn, so it's worth it. This is the only stage we have to return to, is the Itchy and Scratchy stage. The difficulty for the second stage is amped up a lot. Like, this is arguably the hardest stage in the entire game. Once you've run it a few times and you memorize spawn points, it's honestly not bad, but casually, this level's disgusting. Alright, kill 5 of those guys. I use this as a buffer where I try to take out an eyeball, but that's cool, it just bounced over me. It only spawns 5 vacuums to the right, as opposed to the 8 it normally spawns in a given section. So here's the important thing about this stage. This plunger gun we have here, we have to be able to keep it. It's by far the strongest weapon in the entire level. We're gonna move down here. Now, another obstacle we'll see in this stage, normally, is these bubbles that pop out of the sink. But, as long as you stay far enough right from the sink, the bubbles never spawn. If you spawn one, you spawn all of them. But in this case, I'm just gonna chill here and let them come to me. Because why introduce more things on the screen? They're a hazard, they can take away your plunger gun, they cause lag. They're gross. They're better off just to not deal with them. Them down there. Really not much to say here, I'm just going to be camping for a little bit. The next room is the one where it gets really, really important. I do like this strat though. This one was definitely discovered by Peeps. Just chilling here below the phone. Bubbles just don't appear, it's great. He also discovered this. Instead of running all the way to the right past the Itchy door, we're just going to go right to this door, and we get to camp here. There used to be this really complicated jump strat that involved having to jump over that door where you see Itchy and having to avoid these mouse traps that he throws. It was really, really hard, and I'm glad I don't have to do it anymore, because it was awful. It was the worst thing in the run. Outside of the climb, of course, because nothing's worse than the climb. Alright, that's our last Scratchy. Moving on to our last stage. Last room, I should say, for this stage. Just going to be a quick 8 vacuum cleaners. Couple Itchy and Scratchies apiece. Oof, almost missed that one. So our final boss was that furnace, and with any other weapon, say for example the fire extinguisher, that would have taken a minute and a half. With the plunger gun it takes 8 hits, and that's why you want to keep the plunger gun. It's not easy, but with practice, anything's possible. Alright, so instead of going for the soda strat, I'm going to pop this bubble in this little lady's head, and look, we have our last page. On to the Indiana Jones stage, so if y'all bear with me, I am going to be quiet during this because I need to get this pattern right. Alright, that's the first one. Good stuff there. For those that are curious, these patterns were taken from a task, and I've just used them ever since, and it's just memorization. Don't like the fact this devil's chasing me. Alright, that's going to be our second one. And that's the game. Time's going to be, once we skip to the final cutscene, because that's the last input, and it's going to be time. 18:45. I was kind of hoping for a 17, but 17s and marathons just don't happen. The top 2 times are both 16, so that's just asking for all the perfect dice rolls. We had some bad overworld luck. I didn't get soda for what seemed like forever. Had a really rough climb, had kind of a rough Bartman stage, but for those that have never seen it beaten, I'm glad you got to see that now. Yeah, casually, these levels are disgusting. They're just so long. You have to understand that from start point to end point, that was 60 inputs. Think about trying to do that casually. I mean, it's one big puzzle, yes, but there are some situations that you can put yourself in where you just can't get out of them. Really awful. That being said, thank you so much for the GGs, everybody. Game's kind of insane to showcase. There's a lot that can just get really stupid in that game, but it's It has this reputation for a reason. I'm just glad runners like myself and Kairu have gotten to the point where we can show off that this game honestly isn't bad. It's just insanely hard. Bad mechanics, yes, but I mean, there's more Kusuge style games out there than this. Like the sequel to this game, which I'll never play again as long as I live. I've seen some people in there talking about it. Virtual Bart is, yeah, no thanks. Someone else can have that one. Alright guys, I think I've got time for one more. Looks like we're going to be doing some turtles, so bear with me just one moment while I get my sound.